Hello, and welcome back to Crime Cat Podcast, where we delve into the most bone-chilling, wicked, and twisted stories that haunt the mind. Today we discuss the gruesome murder committed by Carly Gregg. Before we start, viewers be warned. This video contains graphic and disturbing content, including descriptions of violence and murder. Listener, viewer discretion is advised. Some details may be unsettling or triggering for certain individuals. On March 19, 2024, a shocking and tragic event unfolded at the Smiley family residence in Brandon, Mississippi. Gregg, then just 14 years old, allegedly perpetrated a horrific crime that would leave the community reeling. Prosecutors contend that Gregg used her mother's own gun to fatally shoot 40-year-old Ashley Smiley inside their home. But the disturbing events didn't end there. Authorities allege that Gregg carefully planned and executed an ambush, lying in wait for her 39-year-old stepfather, Heath Smiley, to arrive home. As he entered the residence, Gregg reportedly opened fire, intending to kill him. Following the shooting, Gregg fled the scene but was soon apprehended near the family's home. Gregg's defense team acknowledged her involvement in the tragic incident but presented a nuanced argument. They asserted that the teenager was immersed in a severe mental health crisis on the day of the shooting, which significantly impaired her judgment and cognitive faculties. According to her lawyers, Gregg's mental state was so compromised that she had no recollection of the events surrounding the fatal shooting of her mother. This claim suggested that Gregg's actions were not premeditated, but rather a desperate cry for help from a troubled teenager overwhelmed by her emotional turmoil. On Tuesday, September 17, Dr. Andrew Clark, a renowned child psychologist, took the stand to share critical insights. He revealed that on the fateful day of the shooting, Gregg exhibited noticeable behavioral changes at the Northwest Rankin High School, where her mother, Ashley Smiley, taught math. Clark testified that Gregg appeared grumpy and irritable and struggled to concentrate during classes. This departure from her typical demeanor hinted at an underlying emotional distress. Furthermore, Clark recounted Gregg's statement that her memory went blank after she let her dog out in the backyard that day, suggesting a potential dissociative episode. This pivotal testimony shed light on Gregg's mental state, potentially linking her behavior to the tragic events that unfolded. Dr. Andrew Clark's testimony revealed a deeper understanding of Gregg's struggles. He disclosed that she grappled with debilitating symptoms of depression, prompting a prescription medication regimen. However, the medication had an unintended effect, leaving Gregg feeling emotionally numb. Clark further elaborated that Gregg experienced auditory hallucinations, hearing voices that intensified in severity prior to the shooting.
She was having, if I may, mood issues, eating disorder issues, cutting herself, hearing voices, and sleeping difficulty, all, I guess, leading up to January.
This disturbing escalation signaled a worsening mental health crisis. Additionally, Clark uncovered a troubling history of self-harm, indicating Gregg's desperate attempt to cope with her emotional pain. These revelations painted a complex portrait of Gregg's mental state, highlighting the urgent need for support and intervention. After returning home with her mother, Carly Gregg went straight to her parents' bedroom, where she retrieved a .357 Magnum pistol hidden beneath the mattress, prosecutors alleged. Security footage shown in court revealed Gregg concealing the gun behind her back as she walked to her bedroom. There, she confronted her mother, Ashley Smiley, and fatally shot her 3 times, Mississippi State Prosecutor Catherine White Newman stated. Following the shooting, Gregg allegedly used her mother's phone to send messages to her stepfather, Heath Smiley, asking when he would be home. Prosecutors claimed Gregg was setting up an ambush, intending to kill Heath upon his arrival. When Heath opened the kitchen door, Gregg allegedly fired the gun at his face, but he managed to grab it and twist it away from her. Despite her defense team's claims of insanity due to mental health issues, prosecutors argued Gregg was fully aware of her actions. The court saw chilling video evidence of Gregg's alleged crimes, including footage of her texting, singing, and interacting with the family dogs immediately after the fatal shooting. Mississippi State Prosecutor Catherine White Newman revealed a shocking and disturbing sequence of events. Shortly after the fatal shooting, Gregg sent a nonchalant text invitation to a friend to come over. When the friend arrived, Gregg casually answered the door, asking an ominous question. "Are you squeamish around dead bodies?" The friend, likely unaware of the horror awaiting them, followed Gregg to her bedroom. There they encountered a gruesome scene. Ashley Smiley's lifeless body lay on the floor, bearing the wounds of 3 gunshots. Newman's account highlighted Gregg's alarming composure and calculation, rather than panic or distress. Gregg displayed a troubling detachment, treating the tragic scene like an ordinary occurrence. This interaction raised questions about Gregg's mental state and her ability to comprehend the severity of her actions. Prosecutors outlined a chilling sequence of events in the March shooting. Carly Gregg allegedly used her mother's own gun to fatally shoot Ashley Smiley inside their Brandon, Mississippi family home. Following the tragic incident, Gregg called a friend to the house, where they discovered Ashley's lifeless body. Prosecutors further alleged that Gregg orchestrated an ambush, lying in wait for her stepfather, Heath Smiley, to arrive home. As Heath entered the house, Gregg reportedly opened fire, intending to kill him. After the shooting, Gregg fled the scene but was soon apprehended near the family's residence. Mississippi State Prosecutor Catherine White Newman revealed a pivotal detail in the courtroom. Moments before Ashley Smiley's tragic death, she was searching Carly Gregg's bedroom for vape pens, indicating concerns about her daughter's behavior. Psychiatrist Dr. Andrew Clark testified that this discovery held significant weight, particularly given Gregg's strong desire for her mother's approval. And then her mother finds out she's smoking marijuana, Clark stated, highlighting the gravity of the situation. For Gregg, this was an existential crisis. Clark elaborated on Gregg's complex relationships with her family members. Her connection with Ashley was close yet complicated, with deep-seated emotional ties. Gregg also shared a strong bond with her stepfather, Heath Smiley. Conversely, Clark described Gregg's relationship with her biological father as profoundly troubled, contributing to her fragile mental state. These intricate dynamics, coupled with Gregg's struggles with depression, self-harm, and auditory hallucinations, painted a nuanced portrait of her psychological landscape. Clark's testimony offered critical context, illuminating potential factors leading to Gregg's actions. On Friday, February 20th, a Rankin County, Mississippi jury delivered a verdict in the highly publicized trial of Carly Gregg. After deliberating, they found her guilty on all counts: first-degree murder for killing her mother, Ashley Smiley; attempted murder for targeting her stepfather, Heath Smiley; and tampering with evidence. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read. Gregg, visibly shaken and emotional, processed the life-altering consequences. With the guilty verdict, Judge Grant Hedge sentenced Gregg to life in prison without parole eligibility. This conclusion capped a trial that exposed the darker aspects of Gregg's life, including her struggles with mental health, tumultuous family relationships, and the events surrounding the tragic shooting. Here are the facts of the case. The murder. In a cold and calculated act of violence, Gregg seized her mother's firearm and unleashed a barrage of bullets, striking her mother 3 times in the privacy of her own bedroom. The aftermath. The chilling aftermath of the murder revealed a disturbing lack of remorse. Gregg, seemingly unfazed by the gravity of her actions, invited a friend over and nonchalantly inquired, "Are you squeamish around dead bodies?" The arrest. Justice swiftly caught up with Gregg as she was apprehended by law enforcement authorities near her home, bringing an end to her brief reign of terror. The trial. A court of law condemned Gregg for her heinous crimes, finding her guilty of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and tampering with evidence. Her actions were deemed so reprehensible that they warranted the harshest possible punishment. The sentencing. The judge, recognizing the severity of the crimes, imposed a life sentence without the possibility of parole, ensuring that Gregg would spend the rest of her days confined behind bars. The community's reaction. The case has sent shockwaves through the community, leaving residents bewildered and horrified. Questions linger about the dark forces that could drive a young mind to commit such a horrific act. As we close this episode, our thoughts and condolences are with the victims' families for all our stories. Losing a loved one is never easy, but losing them in such a violent way is a wound that never fully heals. As always, we thank you for your support. Don't forget to subscribe to Crime Cat Podcast for more bone-chilling, wicked, and twisted episodes.